I am alright. There's something about the way you make me feel inside. I'm counting down the days till we fly away, heading to the sun, only you and me. Don't wanna waste another day being stuck here in this place. No, wanna hold your hand in mine, watch the sunset in your eyes. Baby, I want us to act like we are 22 right now. Just let go, lose control, play songs on the radio too loud. This could be magical. Wow, wow. This could be magical. Wow, wow. To escape, and here we are, driving narrow streets in a rusty car, leading to the sea. Think we're getting close. We should take a pic, baby, strike a pose. I remember every day that I spent right here with you. Yeah, you are the one who makes me feel as good as I do. Baby, I want us to act like we are 22 right now. Just let go, lose control, play songs on the radio too loud. This could be magical. Wow, wow. This could be magical. Wow, wow.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Jennifer Malloway. I'm a dog trainer, and today we're going to talk about what's coming for your dogs. Every year, fireworks season scares the bejesus out of a ton of dogs. And so today we're going to talk through the best ways to help your dog cope and survive through it, and maybe a strategy to teach them to get through it better long term. But before we get into all of that, I just wanted to mention our countdown video. I was really excited. We got a couple of submissions, so I got to start adding some of your dogs to the cute little countdown video. So if anybody else would like to put their dog up there, I'd love to include them. And there's a link for you to do that just in the video description. So if you want to show off your pup, that's a fun way to do that. Which reminds me, I should probably put the foster pup up there too. She's so cute. I'm so excited for whoever ends up with this dog because she's so sweet. Okay, so that said, let's talk about how we can best help dogs. Because the thing is, fireworks, dogs, not all dogs, but a lot of dogs are very affected by sudden noises, loud noises, and fireworks are the epitome of both. They're sudden and loud, and they can terrify dogs. There's just no reasoning with them and telling them that they're gonna survive, that it's not the end of the world. Dogs are they're just not going to understand us telling them. But there are ways that we can help them to not feel so afraid. Because fear does a lot of horrible things, especially when it goes on for a long time. And the thing about fireworks season is that it's summer, pretty much, but it's leading up to the 4th of July here in the US. It's not just the day of. People like to shoot off fireworks, for weeks sometimes in advance. And it's not just the big shows either. It's, people in their backyards, sometimes just kids with poppers. And the sad thing for those of us who have dogs who are affected by this is that, kids sometimes don't understand how it affects other people, other dogs. And I've been in situations where teenagers maybe, I was talking about kids, but anybody could do this theoretically. Hopefully they don't, but it happens. People have driven by and just thrown those little poppers directly at us, at me walking a dog. And I can't fathom what would possess a person to do this, but hey, this is the world we live in. I'm feeling optimistic today. Woo! Okay, all right. So anyway, my point being that once fireworks go on sale, we're in it. We're in the zone, and if you've got a dog who's scared of those noises, we want to do our best to try and help them, because the more that they're exposed to this fear-evoking stimulus, the worse it tends to get. If we do nothing to protect them, it's one of those things that we tend to see it gets worse and worse with age. For some dogs, they have no fear, and just one scary incident can cause a lifelong phobia. For other dogs, the repeated exposure just tends to make it worse. And for a great many dogs, actually, it's a genetic predisposition to have this fear. So there's a lot of ways that dogs can acquire the fear, and so it really does behoove us to help them and protect them, even if they don't already have an outright, panic phobia of the sounds. So if you are a pet owner, which I assume most of you are, if you are watching me, then hopefully the ideas here will help. And actually, before I jump in, I would also like to throw it out there. If any of you have been dealing with this and you found something that really does help in your situation, I would love to hear your ideas. The more things out there, the more that we can help each other. So if you've got suggestions, throw them down in there in the comments, and I will tell you what I find works for most dogs that I've worked with. The very first thing, and the very first thing that I think is good for multiple reasons is to keep them indoors. During those times that we know fireworks are going to be going off, namely the holidays like 4th of July and like New Year's, that's something that we can anticipate, and so we can plan for it, and so we can say, okay, that's during that time, we're not taking Fido outside. This is not only because being in the comfort of home, a familiar surrounding, can help make them feel a little bit safer. Also, just the walls, by the nature of the way that sound travels, it'll be less salient inside the house, so they're a little bit just that much more protected from the sounds. But also because a lot of dogs tend to, when they are experiencing that panic, they tend to bolt. They tend to run off, and it's totally illogical, and it's normal that it would be illogical, because they're experiencing fear, and their gut reaction is just run, get away. They don't necessarily think, where am I going? Am I running to safety? It's just run. It's not a conscious choice. It's just a reaction. And so knowing this about our dogs, we can build in layers of protection just to make sure that they don't get into worse trouble than just the trouble of being afraid in the first place of those sounds. So keeping them inside. Because of the way that we as Americans tend to celebrate this holiday, those are the dates that we see the highest numbers of dogs that get lost, that run away and get lost. And so we know this, and we can help mitigate those losses, because it's heartbreak for the families too. Thankfully, there's ways to get a lot of dogs back, but not all of them make it home, which is just tragic. And so, keeping them inside is one of the ways that we can prevent disaster. And the other thing is that, like I said, it's not a rational thought process that they're going through when they try to run. And so even if you've got a dog who, maybe they spend a lot of time in your yard, even if they never try to escape under normal circumstances, like I said, their abilities and just their determination to just go, it's like you've heard stories of people who in a wreck or in an emergency, all of a sudden with all that adrenaline running through their body, they could lift a car. Actually, I don't know if that's actually true, but the principle is there. We are capable of doing way more when you've got all of this adrenaline. And for dogs, it's the same. Even if they have no desire to even try to jump a fence, a dog who's panicking may try. Or it may not be jumping, but however they try to get out, a lot of dogs in their panic, they will actually injure themselves in their attempts to escape. So whether or not they actually leave your premises, there's a chance that they hurt themselves, and there's the chance that they get lost. And a lot of things can go wrong. And if you've got a dog who you already know doesn't handle fireworks well, that's a day to maybe keep them in from the yard. Make sure that we're keeping doors and windows closed too. Because, the other thing is, like, when it's summer or it's not, I guess it's not technically summer yet, but it's spring and it's nice out and the weather's great and we want to have the windows and doors open. And we maybe, because we are in a good mood and we're feeling relaxed and we're hopeful because things are maybe getting trending towards back to normal, and this leads us to, we want to have the fresh air, and we want doors and windows, but yeah, when there's loud noises, and if you've got a dog who panics, or especially if you've got a dog who bolts when they panic, that's a time to make sure that we're ever closing the doors. Put a sign up on the door if you're having people over and people are coming in and out, that sort of thing, to make sure that we are closing the doors, latching the doors. Things get overlooked that way, and so yeah, we just want to be really careful to make sure your dogs stay home with you. Let's see. Lunar Trader says, to be honest, I hunt a lot, but I also own a few dogs. And yeah, whenever I practice, because that's another loud sound that can scare a lot of dogs. So whenever I practice shoot or sight, we had one who was just naturally gun shy. So loud noises like that, she got scared. So we put her in the house. We actually, there was a gun range where I used to live too, and a lot of dogs would go there. But it's the sort of thing, like, if you know you've got a dog who just doesn't handle that sort of environment, don't take them there. Unfortunately, when it comes to the 4th of July, or just the fireworks season in general, we just don't have control over the situation, or like when those things are going to happen, and that unpredictability can be part of the problem. So yeah, but when you know it's coming, that is a time to keep our dogs safe inside, and certainly don't take them anywhere, like to a fireworks show. I'm from the Midwest, and I remember growing up, we would go watch the fireworks, and people would bring their dogs, and for the dogs who don't mind it at all, that's great. It's wonderful that they get to go and hang out with their people, and that's awesome. But there's the numbers of dogs who are totally freaked out are really high, and that's why I think this is worth talking about. To keep them inside, and certainly don't take them anywhere like that. Like Lunar Trader said, I wouldn't take them to the gun range if they're gun shy. Number 2 is consider staying home with them. So I talk about how to handle fireworks season every year, and this is a suggestion that is among the ones that I have every year. It feels a little bit cruel for me to say this year, because we're on the verge of we can go out and we can do things, and you've been home and you don't want to be home anymore, and a holiday like the 4th of July seems like the perfect opportunity to be able to get out, and you want to be around people, and I want that for you too. If you do have a dog who is totally scared of fireworks, though, it could be a real kindness to them to consider foregoing, that day's events, or at least when the sounds are going to be going off. Because one of the biggest things that really provides a lot of comfort for our dogs is your presence. That's it. It's you. And so, I feel bad. I feel bad even saying it, but do you really need to go out that day? So anyway, it's out there. There you go. But it's worth mentioning here, because I get this question a lot too, and it comes from, there's this common myth that you shouldn't comfort a scared dog, that it might reinforce their fear. And I'm here to tell you that is a myth. It's total bull honky. You can't, that's not how reinforcement works. You cannot reinforce fear. Reinforcement, you can reinforce behaviors, but you cannot reinforce emotions, and fear is an emotion. And so I hereby grant you permission to comfort your dog when they're scared, anytime, all the time. Yeah. And it helps, we are their world, and yeah. So your presence, and whatever you do to comfort them, could be the best antidote. Not the only thing that matters, and we're going to get to some other really important considerations here in a moment. But it's a big one. So yeah. The other thing, speaking of dogs getting lost, no matter, we could take every precaution, but accidents still happen. And so another thing that you can do just to prevent complete devastation, is to make sure that your dog's tags and microchip are up to date. So yeah, I microchip for sure. Make sure that information is up to date. And then when it comes to tags, yeah, like make sure that your dog's got your information on their person. That is the single best way for your dog to get back home to you. Is by having your name and number on their collar, or whatever they're wearing. My preference, and this is totally up to you, but I like to have it not even on an actual dog tag, but embroidered or printed on somewhere on the collar, on the buckle. But because if you've got a sound sensitive dog, jingling of tags, they may be sensitive to that too. I just think it's one less thing to be dangling and get caught on things, and yeah. So I'm actually, over the years, I've become less a fan of actual dog tags, and I love the collars where you can just get your name printed directly on their gear. So yeah, let's see. And if it is on there, make sure it's readable, of course. Now, going back to if you've got them home, whether or not you're there with them, this next one can really help. So we know that dogs are denning animals, and that means that having kind of a sort of mostly enclosed, kind of small feeling space can help some dogs feel more comfortable. Now, some dogs are anxious about being confined, so this may not be for every dog. But for a lot of dogs, yeah, having a safe space. We want to create a safe space for them. And what that looks like can depend on your dog and your home. For some dogs, a soft crate that's covered and has blankets and pillows and maybe favorite toys, and that can really help them. I actually really like to have something like this, a safe space of some sort, in the home all of the time. I think it's a really, really good idea to have a space that's all your dog's. Not a space where anybody goes to bug them. It becomes their place where if they want to be left alone, they can trust that they will be left alone there. So if you've got one of those, that is you're set. You're good. But if you don't, creating a little space like this, and choosing the space that your dog might naturally go if they've been scared in the past, like, pay attention to where they've gone. For some dogs, it's under the bed, or your bedroom. In a lot of cases, it would be a back room or something away from the sounds. A room that's protected a little bit more from sounds. And whatever space you're using, whether it's a crate or just a bed or whatever you come up with, I do just want to point out that we wouldn't want to close them in there. We don't want to lock them in, because that can add to the feeling of anxiety. And so we want to make sure that it's a voluntary thing, that it's something that we're just offering them a choice to. If you need comfort, here's a place that you can go. So yeah, creating a space like that can be really, really beneficial for our scared doggies. Let's see. Okay, so this one I think is really interesting because it is. You've heard that maybe playing music or playing sounds of sorts can help dogs. But there's a really important distinction that I want to make. So when we suggest using sound in this context to help a sound-sensitive dog from whatever sounds are going on outside, the idea or the goal isn't for us to provide something for the dog to listen to and relax. And so in those cases, like, there's a lot of music marketed towards relaxation for dogs. It's like dog music. And a lot of times, it's like classical music people suggest. And that's maybe fine. I don't know that the research is there to support that music is actually calming, but if you like it and if you think your dog likes it, by all means go ahead, most times. But for 4th of July, the goal is different. The goal is not to provide, like I said, not something for them to listen to and relax. It's something to drown out the upsetting noises. And with that in mind, we might choose a different type of sound than music. So my favorites, in this order, roughly, are to use something like a fan, or white noise, or actually, I prefer pink noise, and I'm going to talk about the different colors of noises in here in a moment, but yeah, just a white noise of some sound, or of some kind, a recording of, like, ocean waves, or natural sound like that, which does fall into the white noise category, or if you want to be entertained also, maybe play something like an audiobook, something with speech, and then maybe music, and TV as a very, very last resort. But here's why. The white noise kind of sounds, anything that falls into that category, and this could be, something like, let's see, I wrote it down here. So a fan, like I said, is white noise. AC, radio static, those things are called white noise. And what they mean when they say white noise is that it's something that has all audible frequencies, and they are evenly distributed among all those frequencies. So you've got your low and your high frequencies, and they're all in there at equal intensities. Did you know there are such things as pink noise and brown noise and black noise? This is what I think is so interesting. So, I was reading up on it because I think it's really, really fascinating. But so, like I said, white noise, all frequencies evenly distributed. Pink noise also has all frequencies, but they are not evenly distributed. They are more intense at the lower frequencies. And so pink noise, I've read, occurs in nature, with things like leaves rustling or rain or just the wind. And then we get to brown noise, which, same concept. You're going to have even higher energy. It's more heavily in the lower frequencies. So to our ear, like if I were to just play different color sounds, at first you're like, well, these all sound the same. If you go to YouTube, go to Spotify or whatever and play all these sounds, like they sound almost the same at first. But the more you listen to them, the more you realize the differences. And why does this all matter? Because if there are things like fireworks, or thunder can be a big problem too. Like I said, we're trying to use the sound to mask the scary noises, and so we kind of want to use something that has the same distribution of frequencies. I'm sorry, the house just shook. It kind of felt like a earthquake. Anyway, speaking of strange sounds, so it may help dogs just a little bit more to choose a pink noise recording or a brown noise recording instead of even a white noise. I don't know. I mean, it may not make that big of a difference. Like I said, there needs to be more research to find out if this, if there is actually enough of a difference to care. But like I said, I just find it fascinating. So, hey, why not? Also, I'll say this. I like pink noise for me when I'm sleeping. I find that pink, for just in my own experience, not for my dog, but actually for me, I can fall asleep and not wake up more if I just have a pink noise playing versus a white noise. Like white noise, those higher frequencies tend to like wake me up when I'm in lighter sleep cycles. It's funny, bizarre, but anyway, there you go. Has anybody else, is this news to anybody, or have you guys tried this, or am I just the only weirdo? So yeah, let's see. Okay, another random, really fun fact that's totally, like, weirdly off topic, sort of. It's a little tangent, but I think it's funny, and I learned it recently, and I'm afraid that I might be the last person on Earth to have learned this, but if not, it's going to be interesting. Okay, so, but here's where my train of thought went. So, with these sounds, the quality of speaker that you play it through can make a difference also. So if you're just playing it like on your phone or something, that may not be as helpful as if you're playing it through a higher quality speaker. So just keep that in mind. And so as I was going down this road, I was thinking, I was thinking like, okay, so what do you need? You need a device that can play these types of sounds, and I tend to go to YouTube or Spotify for playlists. I want something that has looping capability or that is a really, really long recording, because what I don't want to happen is that I start playing it, everything's fine, my dog's cool, then the fireworks are going, and then the recording stops before the fireworks do, and then my dog gets freaked out. I don't want that to happen, so that's why I want something with looping capability. And it's got to have Bluetooth so that I can send it to a better speaker. Bluetooth is the thing that I didn't know. And so I'd love to hear, like, if you guys, is this like super old news or not? I didn't know. Excuse me. I didn't know that Bluetooth was named after a Viking king named Harald Gormson. Okay, I'm totally probably saying that wrong. But yeah, this Viking king, like the thing he's known for is helping to unite Denmark and Norway, and his initials are the Viking runes for H and B, and those are the runes are the symbols that combine to make the Bluetooth logo. And his nickname was Bluetooth because he had a rotten tooth that kind of looked blue, so he was called Bluetooth. I didn't know any of this, and I thought that was so funny. But so, did you guys know this? Is this, yeah? Anyway, all right. Let's keep going. Couple more things that you can do to help your dog. Exercise. Being physically worn out can help them remain calm or even sleep through the noise. And so I'm not talking about just your normal neighborhood leash walk. I'm talking about they get to run, they get to play hard. I want them to feel really like nice and tired. Like it should feel like a good exercise. And you want to do this in the afternoon, like well before the fireworks start, so that, you know, like we said, you can have them inside at the time the fireworks go off. But yeah, getting them really some really good exercise that day, like more than you normally do. So go for the gold there. The other really important one, I mean, these are all important. I think if luckily Dizzy, my dog, is not currently too scared of loud sounds like thunder and fireworks. But if I did have a dog who is experiencing this, I'd be doing all of the above. But here we go. And now's the time. And here's the reason why I'm talking about this now in May and not in late June or even the beginning of July, is because prescription medication to help your dog through this event can be hugely beneficial. And so you don't want to do this the week before. You need time to schedule that appointment with your vet, have that discussion. And sometimes, you know, just like with us, medication we don't always get it right the first time, finding the right medication and finding the right dose, so that your dog is they're just calm, but they're not knocked out. We don't want, nobody wants zombie dogs. That's never the goal. So yeah, we need to have time to be able to get in and see the vet, and potentially, if they think it's appropriate, get a prescription. And you also want to have time to test it out before the night of. We don't get the prescription and then not use it until the date, because we want to know how it affects the dog, not during this big traumatic event. And for dogs who are scared of sounds like this, it is a trauma. It is a traumatic event. And so, yeah. This is a discussion worth having with your veterinarian, but it can be really, really helpful. And so if you've got a dog who does tend to panic, now's the time. Get in there. I know there's a ton of you new dog owners. So many people got dogs over the last year and a half, and maybe haven't, those dogs who, if they're getting puppies, I should say, are maybe they're growing and they're maturing, and they may be going through a fear period where they're ultra sensitive to potentially scary events like this. And so we don't necessarily know how they're gonna handle it, and how that's gonna affect their life and their life going forward. So, if you haven't had a discussion about this with your vet, maybe worth it. But yeah, definitely that's one I always have to include, because it helps dogs too. Finally, not finally, there's a bit more actually, but I created a little miscellaneous category here, because there's some other things that sometimes get suggested, but that there's just much less evidence there to support that it is actually beneficial. So it's the sort of thing where it's can't hurt, might help, but I wouldn't necessarily put most of my energy in these categories. But if you've done all of the above and you still want to do more, sometimes things like body wraps, Thunder Shirt is one example, that can apply a widely distributed pressure around the body. Same concept as a weighted blanket for us. For some dogs, those can help. Doesn't help all, but for some. Another thing that can help, some dogs, definitely not all, and because I've used this, and it's the sort of thing, I don't know, I kind of see a difference, but for the percentage of dogs who I think it really helps is very small. And I don't know how much it's going to help during a big event like a fireworks show, but there are synthetic pheromones, calming pheromones, that you can spray on a dog's bed or have them wear it on a collar, that can mimic the calming pheromones that comes from the dog's mother. So that is something that can help. And lastly, you can provide a snack, some food, or a really, really good, long-lasting chew item. This one is sort of apart from the other suggestions because it's not really something that's going to calm dogs, but what it can do is provide a little bit of a distraction if they're not totally freaked out. It's something for a dog that can just kind of help them. But it is also an indicator of how our dog's doing. So it's something that can provide information for us. Many dogs, when they are too scared, meaning they become anorexic, meaning they won't eat if they are just over that fear threshold. And so if you are giving your dog food or treats and they normally eat just fine, it's information for you. It's okay, my dog is really freaked out. What else can I do to help them? Certainly not going to try and force them to eat the food. It's not like eating the food is gonna just solve that problem. but it can provide information for us. So just in that sense, it kind of serves as a diagnostic indicator for your dog in that moment. Anybody else have any ideas? I would love to hear if you've got something that's kind of a go-to that you know works for your dog every time. Anything that I haven't mentioned, would love to be able to share that. But there is one more thing that's kind of maybe extreme, but I have plenty of friends that do this, and so it may be an idea that appeals to you. If you've got that dog who's like, no, we can't do fireworks, is take a trip. There are, you can rent an Airbnb somewhere that's more remote, away from people that are going to be shooting off fireworks. This is something that maybe is going to require a little bit more research to find the right place in the right area, and that is dog friendly. But there are places, they do exist. And so for some dogs who it's you just want to do everything you possibly can, so that they don't have to go through this, you might plan a little weekend trip. For 4th of July weekend, we go somewhere where you're not going to have to hear the fireworks, and we can have fun. We can have our own little party out there. Like I said, a lot of people do take trips for holiday weekends anyway, so maybe it's not that extreme. But yeah, so if you've got places like that you know of that maybe you want to share those, also share them in the comments too. So yeah, it can help them through the worst bits. Like I said before, sometimes fireworks season tends to last, weeks or maybe even a month or so. But for the worst of it, just getting away can really help, and it may help you too. So yeah, you can take a trip. I do want to talk a little bit about part of how we might teach a dog. I don't know if that sounds right, but we can help a dog learn not to fear fireworks so much through a process called desensitization, or possibly even desensitization and counter conditioning. And oh no, Heath, your dog is terrified of fireworks. Good. Well, I mean, not good that they're scared, but good that you're here, because hopefully some of these things can help. And I'm curious. So what do you do? What do you do for your pup to help them through it? I was about to get into this process of desensitization, like I said, and it's something that takes time, and that can only ever go at the dog's pace. We never push them faster than they can go. So it's not like, okay, here we are May 20th or whatever. I think it's May 20th. Get as far away as possible. Okay, so maybe the trip suggestion for you is a good one. But yeah, so we've got like 5 or 6 weeks until 4th of July. And I mean, gosh, can you believe it? I can't, this time is just still going by so fast, and I don't know how that's happening. But anyway, so 6 weeks. But we don't really have, desensitization doesn't usually, we can't say okay, if we start now, he's got to be done by July 4th, because he just has to. It just can never, it's on their timeline, not ours. And I say that up front because anytime we're working with an animal and we want them to learn something, I feel this every single time. It's like we always just want them to pick up something faster than it actually happens. Sometimes they surprise us and it goes a lot faster than we planned, but more often than not, it's us having to remind ourselves, or me having to remind myself, that you just can't. It actually, the process will go faster in the long run if we slow her down. We say, go slow to go fast. Because the more we try and push them, the harder it's going to be. The more setbacks we're gonna have, and so it's just, I have to stress that. So the desensitization, the process could look like, again, I'm going to YouTube or Spotify to find a recording of, now it's not white noise that we're looking for, but it's actually sounds of fireworks displays. And we want to start off playing those recordings for the dog at an almost imperceptible volume. Sometimes, this might mean, like, we talked about the difference in the quality of speakers. So in this case, we want to do the opposite. We want to go as least intense as we possibly can. Use the crappy speaker, maybe even put it in another room. We want it to get it as low volume and as low intensity for the dog, to where they do not react to it at all. And that's our starting point. And then over time, you increase the intensity, and so that's sometimes volume, sometimes that's bringing the speaker closer. We tweak the intensity of the scary sound at such small increments that the dog never, ever has that fear reaction. We want them comfortable, entirely comfortable the entire time. Not like, like they got a little bit nervous, but that's not the full-blown thing. No. We don't want even the little bit nervous. We want the totally okay. And so you play it at mini sessions over a matter of days and weeks and sometimes months, because fear is one of those things that's really, really tricky. And it's so much better. It's so much safer, and like I said, it'll go faster ultimately if we go really conservative with those increments. So let's see. Humanity Junction says hard. Oh yeah, it is hard to deal with, because absolutely, the fireworks not always planned. It's easy to plan for the holidays where we know it's going to happen. But oh my gosh, no, I totally get it. The random fireworks, it's the unpredictableness of it makes it really, really hard, especially if you're actually, working a full-on training plan with a dog. That it's frustrating because you're like, there's nothing we can do to control it. But that's where some of these other tips may come in, and having things like, having already had the conversation with the vet and having the prescription on hand and ready in case you do need to use it. Those sorts of things, having the safe place, having that just be a thing that exists in your home all the time, can help mitigate some of the unpredictableness of it. It's unfortunate and it sucks, but sometimes that's, speaking of unpredictableness.
Whoa, what a mess in here. Holy cow. What happened?
We had a puppy in here. Speaking of which, where's the puppy?
She's downstairs on the couch with me. I'm getting ready to...
You left her on the couch unsupervised?
Just for a minute to find out if you wanted me to order you pizza.
You guys?
You want the cauliflower
what
with the
am
vegan
I gonna
cheese?
Do? Yes.
Okay. And what did you want, the Caspian with the barbecue sauce?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
Always barbecue sauce.
All I needed. Now I'm going back down to supervise. Diz, clean this up.
Obviously, we need to have our next show about what is active supervision. Who is that young whippersnapper? Yeah, I don't know. I've never met him before. I missed. Okay, so your other comment, Heath, was ironically, Kiki does not acknowledge TV and music sounds except for doorbells. It's like she knows the fake sounds. So that's a really, really good point, and it is something that we definitely have to consider if we're really trying to work through this desensitization plan, like I said, because a lot of dogs, sometimes they can tell, and there's ways to work with that, but it's different for every dog, and so sometimes it requires a bit of creativity. But yeah, absolutely. Also, you're right. I do need a better lock on that door. I don't have any lock on that door, unfortunately. But hey, I can't really complain because he's ordering me pizza. So, and one last thing, if you are attempting to use the recordings to help your dog just get used to those sounds, if they ever do get to, if your dog ever does get to the point where they're showing even the slightest hint of concern or discomfort, we shut it off. We shut it down. We never ever like push through. And that's what I mean by it's like you're like, oh, but it's like not that much louder, and like you were doing so good and you can do this. Like, no. That's the sort of thinking that's going to cause us to have our plans backfire. It's gonna cause regressions. So always important, if they're nervous at all and you're working through a plan like that, no, we shut it down. We never make the dog uncomfortable. And the thinking, I think, there is that, like, sometimes we think like, well, you know, if we just play it a lot, he'll just get used to it. But it's that thinking that, like I said, the repeated exposure to something that already scares them tends to make it worse every time. Yeah. So not a recommended method of helping a dog who's scared of sounds. So that is all I have for you today, folks. So like I said, I would love to hear. Heath said you just get as far away as possible. Maybe take a trip somewhere away from fireworks and people. But if you guys have any other things that you found to help your dog through a fearful situation, I would love to hear it in the comments. And yeah, hopefully this helps and helps your dogs. It's so freaking common. And I wanted to make sure we started getting the message out relatively early as people start shopping for fireworks. I'm seeing those shops are gonna pop up all over the place. It happens every late spring, summer. So now's the time to start thinking and planning about how we're gonna survive. I mean, many of us maybe even enjoy the fireworks displays. So when I say us, I'm really talking about your dogs and me, who, like, I think they're very pretty, but I can totally relate to dogs in that I find the sounds intolerable. I can't do loud sounds. I'm like, you sound sensitive dogs. I totally get you guys. I feel your pain. It's not fun. Humanity says, step in front of her and hold out my hands, facing towards. Oh my gosh. Step out in front. Okay, I'm going to put this up here. I step out in front of her and hold out my hands facing towards the sound, like making a wall between her and the sound. That's really cute. So, and that's I think another example of how just our presence and we the things that we do to comfort our dogs, like when we're there, they can be hugely beneficial. So yeah. If you were making other plans, but you've got a scared dog, think about spending that night with them. They'll just, you know, they really do. They had a lot of dogs, I should say. Anything I say, it's like, it's not necessarily for every single dog, but I've seen so many that they just, like, just having you there is the best possible thing. So yeah, I know I said that a lot today, but I just want to help those doggies out there. So I forget the book, but I think it's called Barking or something like that. What's it about, Heath? You know, I mean, I always love a book recommendation, but yeah, I'll look it up. Actually, why don't I look it up here? You can tell me if I'm finding the right one. Of course, I'm just going to type in barking, and it's going to be like all this random stuff. Barking up the wrong tree. Barking to the choir. Barking, the sound of a language. The suggestion is from a book called... Is it just called Barking? I wonder if it's this one. If it's from Dogwise. Dogwise is a good... They have a lot of good books and training manuals with some really great suggestions. Inga? And you're sure it's not Turid Inga. Let's see. There's someone named Inga Barks, but it's not a book about barking. That's funny. Turid Rugas, was that? Okay. Yeah. She's a huge name in the dog world. So, so I think I see the book you're talking about. I'll have to check it out because she has a lot of insight. So cool. Oh, that's so interesting. That was one of her suggestions. Cool. Well, I'm glad that, you've got your go-to strategies to help your dog. I assume that, most of us who have had our dogs long enough to know that they are scared of sounds like that are already being proactive and finding ways to help them. But I know, people get new dogs every year. And so it's a learning process. And so, hopefully these suggestions can help you and your dog. Also, David came in here and commented on the mess, and that's because this morning I was, I've been kind of slacking off with my attempt at having a yoga habit. I try to do it every morning, but I haven't this week because of the foster puppy. And so today I was like, okay, you can be up here with me. We're going to get the yoga done. And Dizzy knows the drill. He's in here every morning, and he knows to like just go hang out. And then sometimes, when I'm doing down dog, he'll come over and like lay on the mat when I'm where I'm supposed to be, which is really funny. But the puppy was just like, oh, this is cool. Why don't I pull everything out of the trash and shred it up? And so I don't think you can see too much back there on the floor, but yeah, like all around my desk, it's a disaster zone. So I have to go clean that up now. And very funny, Heath, a lot of people have suggested that we keep Dakota, that she be a foster fail. And she is an absolute darling. She is so sweet. And if I wanted a dog who was going to be larger as an adult, I'd adopt her in a heartbeat. She's that sweet. Unfortunately, we don't want a large dog. Just sad, but we hope that she goes to a very, very nice family. They're going to be very lucky to have her. She's really wonderful. It was the first, today is the 7th day, since we got her, and the first week it's been a little bit hard, only because she's a puppy and she doesn't like to be left alone, and she's not totally sleeping through the night, or she wasn't, but last night she did. So last night was the first night where we all went to bed early. We were in bed before 9:30, and it was the first time where I put her in her crate, closed the door. She went right to sleep, not even a peep. And so we got to go to bed, and I can't believe we didn't wake up. We didn't get up until I don't even know what time. I woke up earlier than I would have preferred, but still, we didn't wake up. She didn't wake up. Me and Dizzy got to sleep through the night. David slept through the night. It was like, so yeah, the first week was kind of tricky, and now that we're sleeping, now it's perfect. Just a little bit more on the potty training, but she picks things up so fast. She's a puppy. She's gonna do puppy things, but she's a quick learner, and she's eager, and she's just a love. Yeah. Oh, she is gonna make some family very, very happy. I see a failure. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Yeah. If every time I felt this way, I kept the dog, I'd have a whole zoo of dogs. Oh my gosh. I do what I do because I love dogs. So I just can't keep every dog, and you kind of just have to learn how to say goodbye. And I don't know when we're gonna have to give her back either. Like, they said that it was probably gonna be about a week, and here we are at a week, so it may only be a couple more days. We just don't know yet. I think that we're just gonna get a call one day, and they're gonna be like, okay, it's time. Either she's going to the Doberman specific rescue, or we're putting her up for adoption, and then we have to say goodbye. So David's gonna miss her, though. He even said, like, today, he's like, maybe we should keep her, but it's not gonna happen. As much as we've enjoyed having her, we just can't. Also, like, I would like to be able to continue fostering, and the place we're at, we just can't. Like, it's a rental, and we're not allowed to have unlimited dogs, and so, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I've had a lot of fun. I think this is, I hope this is helpful. And it's Thursday, so man, we're almost here. It's almost to the weekend. So I hope that you guys all enjoy yours. And just as a reminder, if you would like to see more of this kind of content, if you'd like me to be able to continue to spend my time here with you, it really helps me out if you hit the red subscribe button at the bottom on YouTube, or if you're watching from Facebook, you can like or follow me there. It also helps if you comment and participate in the conversation, and share this with anybody who might need this information. So if you've got a friend whose dog doesn't like fireworks, share this video. It can be really, really helpful to me. Also, just so that I say it again, because I don't want anybody to not have heard about this, I would love to be able to show off your dogs in the countdown video on my live streams. And so there is a link in the description where you can send me a short little video of your dog, and we can put them up there and show them off. So I think it'd be really fun. So send me those videos. And that is all for today. So have a wonderful weekend, guys, and I will see you next week. All right, bye-bye.